Welcome to Turtle Talk. This is Morgan's story and the family's journey. I'm Craig, and
I'm Michelle. Welcome.
good. Welcome back. We're about June of 2020, so some normalcy is returned to South Dakota with that. Brendan and Gabby are married, and we're going through the Caring Bridge for timeline stuff, and you had said something about a sword.
Yeah. I had somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they told me I needed to put my sword down and stop fighting all the time.
Okay.
And I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm just going to read it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was painful actually reading this again, because I always kept saying I felt like a crazy lady, but I was just the biggest mama bear, grizzly bear, pit viper you can imagine, because we almost lost her, and there was no way in hell I was going to lose her again. And I wasn't going to let anyone, I don't care who it was, Tom and I were not going to let anyone do anything to disrupt where we were. So, we were in fight or flight mode 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So in my Caring Bridge I had wrote, recently someone told me that I needed to put down my sword. I really took offense to that, as it would seem every time I turn around, something is happening that would put us on edge. People we thought were friends have caused more stress than help, right? Medical people who are to be about patient care seem to have a mentality of just treat and street. And I'm not referring to Mayo Clinic there.
Yeah.
They don't put in the extra effort involved, like with her leg. One facility she was in didn't put foot drop boots on her, so her feet curled, which then led to the inability to get her upright and put full weight on her leg, which would allow the bone to fully heal in her broken leg, right? With the curled feet, it halted the ability to go to a rehab center to get her up and to try and help her walk, which led us to the twisted rod in her leg. This then ended up with multiple surgeries and a new facility to undo what others had done. So, who do you get angry at for all of this? Then we have the foot brace she currently has, which has given her 3 pressure ulcers on her foot. I go in multiple times to have it fixed. I get a different person each time who has a different thought process than the last one, and ultimately nothing is really fixed. And because of the multiple duct tape adjustments we now have in the ill-fitting foot brace that is pretty much worthless, how about people involved in this whole fiasco thinking it is intimidating to us to continually drive by your house multiple times a week? So I think we kind of know where we're rolling with all that.
Yeah.
So putting down my sword makes my family vulnerable, and I cannot allow that to happen. We must protect Morgan and our other children. It is not how I want to live, but under all the circumstances, it is where we are.
Yeah.
And so we're dealing with all of this. How do you not be on edge? How do you not be defensive? How do you not question everything? We have police driving by our house harassing us, following our kids to school. We have lawyers in the mix that we're dealing with. We have surgeries that are going on. We have people who are in this medical field and who are not doing what they're supposed to do. After Morgan's first surgery, she had some foot bracing that we had done in Sioux Falls at a place there. And I tell you what, I swear, I think we always got the bottom of the barrel before we got the cream of the crop.
Okay.
So the pressure ulcers, Morgan got sores all over her feet from ill-fitting AFOs is what they're called. They're hard braces to keep her foot straight now, right? We have this beautiful new foot. Why do we want to let the foot drop go in? So let's get a good brace on her that should have been on way back in the ICU.
So that was after the
First fixator.
The first fixator.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we trusted a place at home because we thought, well, it's close, it's easy, blah, blah, blah. No, it was horrible.
Oof.
So, you know, I don't know if you've seen a pressure ulcer or ever dealt with them, but let me tell you, they are a nightmare to deal with and take forever to get rid of.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, her brace isn't going away.
Right.
Yeah. Dealt with them.
So by the time the second fixator is coming off and getting done and stuff, you know, we had found a new place. But I was really offended by that person telling me that I needed to put my sword down because, one, if I put my sword down and don't continue to advocate and fight for her, who's going to? Is that person?
No.
That person sure as hell isn't going to do it.
But, I mean, that's been the question since the beginning. If you and Tom didn't fight for her,
Right.
who would?
Who would? Who would? Because the doctors, they're like, well, you know.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the best thing in the world that ever happened to Morgan and to our family was Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
You know, we do have some really good ancillary doctors in Sioux Falls. Love them. And boy, she's got a physical med rehab doctor in Sioux Falls as well as one at Mayo. She's got two, right? One handles the big stuff, one handles the local stuff. Amazing. But they get it. They're in the industry. She's got a physical therapist here as well as physical therapy there. And they work with the others. They talk as a team. It's they have been fantastic. You know, we had a great family doctor who, I don't know, COVID changed a lot. In healthcare, in how people are treated. You see a huge division, whether you got the vaccine or you didn't, in how you were treated. The whole ivermectin argument back and forth, you know, whether it works or whether it doesn't. And I don't want any comments about what my feeling is about it. This is mine and Tom's feeling. Everything we've done, we've discussed. And it may not be right for some, and it may be wrong for some, but that's not the whole reason of this discussion, right? This is our choices. But in this process, with this one doctor says Morgan needs to be on this ivermectin, and we put her on it. And let me tell you, that girl has only been sick a handful of times in the last 6 years. A handful.
That's really good.
That is amazing for her. We've had no hospitalizations for pneumonia. We've had no bronchial infections. We've had no pneumonia. We've had none of that, right? Which is kind of unheard of for someone in her compromised state, being in a wheelchair who can't do this stuff, right? And this doctor really went out on a limb to help us keep her safe and keep her from getting sick. And the protocol she put forward has been amazing, right? I mean, the rest of us in the house will be really sick, but Morgan doesn't.
We're going to be just fine.
Morgan will be just fine. Like, that girl is an enigma, let me tell you. But her family doctor is all upset. Well, that stuff doesn't work. Why are you giving her that? And I get talked down to and I get lectured, and I'm like, you know, I really truly believe, Tom and I both do, that, you know, healthcare has lost its way, and we've gone from taking care of the person and true healthcare to we're just practicing medicine, you know, and let's just slap drugs at it. Let's just, you know, in and out, as many billable visits as we can get off from you, you know. So today, here's my rant. I need a a weight on my chart, right, for one of my medications. And I get a message through the chart that says, we need you to just stop in so we have it on record. Okay, fine. I stop in. Oh, hey, we have to put you in for a nurse visit, to which you're going to be charged for for me to step on a scale. That is the most asinine thing I have ever seen. I'm going to get charged $30 to step on a scale in front of a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
That's what frustrates us. And that's with the start of COVID, that's where these mentalities came out, and thank God, I gotta say, I love integrative medicine. I believe there is a purpose with holistic and, traditional medicine, holistic medicine. You integrate all of these, and I think there is such a beautiful harmony. And you don't have to believe me. You don't even have to try it, but Morgan is kind of living proof of it.
Yeah.
We've really changed our course of thinking that, okay, we're not going to throw drugs at everything. And we, as a matter of fact, took away all her meds pretty much, except a couple that we thought she still needed. And when we started taking that stuff away, boy, she just flourished.
Yeah.
I mean, she was on central nervous system inhibitors, but we want our central nervous system to be working so we can retrain it. And so you put her on a stimulant, but then you put her on a CNS inhibitor.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And, it's like, oh, well, the computer says this.
Mm.
Like, I can WebMD the shit out of everything myself and come up with the same conclusion, but you're the one that went to medical school.
Yeah.
You have a specialty, So
No, you're good.
I've been so frustrated today by all of that, which brings me back to, Morgan's stuff and, put down your sword. But how do you put down your sword when all this ridiculous stuff in the medical world is happening? And, ironically, we've had none of this ridiculous stuff ever at Mayo. Never have we had these ridiculous scenarios. Everything has been an open discussion, and hey, you know what? She's on ivermectin. Great. We wanted to try some other things, like does CBD work for her and these contractures, the things that make her so tight? Can we calm down her central nervous system during times when we know flying? When we fly, Morgan's like, even though she loves to fly, but how do we help her calm down? Let's try some CBD. Let's try other things. I am a huge proponent, love it or hate it, of marijuana for medical use. Huge. I will advocate for that till the end, because instead of putting her on all these prescription, like Valium and diazepam and whatever else his other drugs are to calm her down to fly, where we could just give her, a gummy, and she's nice and relaxed without all these chemicals. Like, God gave us weed, right? And some people may agree with this and some people may not. But I know what it's done to help her. I know what it's done to help other patients with seizures. I know what it's done to help, people with chronic pain and with anxiety. And why, unless you're living that life, no one has any say to judge.
The thing with COVID is some things were politicized.
Right.
And you couldn't just keep, what your reasons for whatever medical treatment you're doing. You had to put it on a card, or you had to tell everybody.
Right.
And I think that just opened the door where more people expect you to share. And like, I still believe in HIPAA, where my treatments of stuff, if I want to share it with somebody, that's my choice. That's not a demand.
Right.
So with the whole medical marijuana thing. Stuff doesn't affect me. Like somebody else using it doesn't affect me at all. So why do I care?
And I wish more people would take that opinion because,
everybody should.
you know, there's been times when I've said we've used it occasionally with Morgan, but when her spasticity in the winter is the worst, like she contractures bad in the cold. So we don't typically go a lot of places when it's so cold out. We typically, you know, try to protect her from that. But when we do have to do those things and she's cranked up tight, we're going to do what we got to do to help her. Right. And it's not like we just randomly just pick something off the street from some dealer. You know, we have doctors, integrative medicine doctors who help us with these things.
Yeah.
So for anybody judging, just keep your opinion to yourself.
Right.
We don't need it.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's, you know, Tom and I and our family are doing everything we can to do absolutely 100% what's best for Morgan and to help her. And honestly, I think we've done a pretty amazing job because, you know, that girl, my gosh. So we get the second fixator off, I don't know, somewhere in like June, maybe June, July.
So it's on for a couple months.
Oh, it's on for 6 months at least. So it must have been like July or August we got the fixator off. I don't quite remember, but what we found is we had done the left leg first, and the left femur she shattered.
Right.
In the accident it shattered, and they put a rod in, and you know it's bolted down here and bolted up there and stuff. Well, we're standing now. Morgan can stand. She needs someone to support her, but she can fully weight bear on the left foot. But we've noticed now right foot fixator comes off. We're standing on both of them. And now she's favoring the right leg to bear all the weight on. And the left leg, when we're trying to get her to walk and to do different things, she'd wince in pain. So then the struggle became, what's going on?
Right.
So we asked her foot doctor, you know, can we get the leg looked at? There's something not right. So sure enough, we get the leg looked at. They do x-rays and whatever else they needed to do. And when they fixed her leg, and I tell you, the poor doctors, because, you know, her leg is shattered. So they're trying to line it up. And I think they did a pretty darn good job, but they were off just enough in their fix that when Morgan would stand, it was painful because the alignment wasn't right. So Mayo was great. We get a new doctor for the leg. She has a whole team.
Yep.
And he does the x-rays, does everything. He said, let's go in, very short surgery. I go in, I unhook it, we rotate it correctly, and we lock it back in. Tell you what, that was a great surgery because then standing wasn't painful anymore.
Wow.
That slight difference in the rotation of the rod in her leg made that big of a pain difference. So that was wonderful that we were able to, you know, get that leg rotation fixed and stuff. We did that, I don't know, must have been like September, October.
Okay.
You know, so 2020 is just kind of flying by. You know, we did manage to get a trip in down to Georgia to see the kids, you know, and officially meet Gabby and stuff. You know, we had I think we had actually met Gabby maybe a trip before. I don't quite remember. I think we had met her, I think, once before those two ran off and eloped. And then, you know, so we got to go spend some more time with them. And, you know, we really took 2020. I mean, you can't do anything. So,
yeah.
You know, they didn't want you doing much, but we traveled. We traveled down to Georgia, spent time with the kids. You know, we spent a lot of time at the lake. And, you know, we did family things in between surgeries. And, you know, it was tough. It was tough navigating all of this. But after the second fixator came off, we finally found a place to get her leg braces and splints and everything. Oh, here's where I'm going to sing somebody's praises. Limb Lab. Limb Lab is amazing. Oh gosh. They're in Rochester, and I know they have some other locations. I don't know where, but phenomenal work. Anytime there's even the slightest issue, I call them. I say, I think there might be a problem. Boom, we're in there, and they are looking at it. They're assessing it. They're fixing it. And I just thought, wow. And I couldn't get the other place locally to even return my phone calls. So this is the difference between healthcare, true healthcare, or practicing medicine.
Yeah.
It's all in how you treat your patients. And I tell you what, so, Morgan gets cute little boots, and she had butterfly ones that were purple with a pink liner, blue ones, and that girl. So it's, 2020 was hard, but not nearly as hard as 17, 18, 19. But it seems like the hardness level would decrease, with every year, but it's still hard.
Yeah.
Even to this day, it's a struggle some days.
Do you see progression in not personality, but how she expresses herself? And we're talking about, recovering from TBI here. It's not just physical. It's also got to be
right,
that kind of stuff.
In the beginning, if you look at the pictures, it was just kind of a blank stare. Yeah. I mean, I knew she was there, but it was a blank stare. And even I look back at the pictures and think, wow, I had an awful lot of faith, because those pictures are very rough. But as time went on, like I said, we're super interactive with her and even her siblings, and there's not a pity party. So there might be pity parties quietly, but as a whole, we all never, we're just like, okay, Morgan, hey, today's the day. Let's try smiling. You got to smile like this, and we keep doing that, and we keep doing that. Or somebody'd walk by and say, hey, Morgan, you want to hear a joke? So we never treated her like she was disabled, or like she had a TBI, or that she was any different than the rest of us. We always included her on the family meals. We included her on conversations. We didn't just leave her parked in the corner, in her wheelchair. She was just always in the thick of everything, and so Tom and I might not have seen things right away. It seems like strangers, not really strangers, but friends, people who would come by once in a while would be like, oh my gosh, look she just smiled. And then it'd be like, oh, light bulb. Oh yeah, I guess she's been doing that for a little bit. But being that close to it, we don't see it right away. And so that's what's kind of hard for us, is we need people to tell us what they see, so we can actually step back and see the bigger picture.
Right.
Because we're so looking at everything like through a microscope.
Yeah.
So you want to see something big under the microscope, and that's not going to happen.
Right.
Because we're so hyper focused on the little.
Well, I'll just say from my experience, never having to handle or be around it too much, just how the whole family talks to Morgan like she's going to fire back some smart mouth response, which she will, now that I recognize it. Like it's phenomenal to see. I guarantee you her emotional growth would have stunted if you hadn't.
If we hadn't, exactly. Because she shows us, like, when something's funny, she belly laughs.
She loves it when I give you a hard time on the phone.
Yes. Even on the phone, she'll be chuckling in the background, and if she doesn't like something you're doing, she will give you a look or she'll roll her eyes at you.
Well, that one dinner we had not too long ago where she was just mad at Tom.
Yeah.
And still don't know why, but she was just mad at Tom.
She was mad at Tom, and if he even stepped close to her, she was like,
Yeah.
you know, and it happens, you know, and some of it, you know, it just, that girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, but we always just said, she's still Morgan.
Yeah.
Just because she can't talk all the words that we can, and just because she can't stand up and run across the yard, or, you know, it doesn't make her not Morgan.
Right.
You know, so I remember the first time one of her siblings, I think it was one of her sisters, looked at her, and she was kind of disgusted with Morgan, because Morgan was, you know, as things evolve, Morgan would get a stubborn streak, or she just would refuse to do something. And her sister just looked at her and she's like, you know what? Just because you have a brain injury doesn't mean you can't be helping me do this. And my heart just sunk for a minute. And Morgan looks at her, rolls her eyes, and then starts laughing. And it was at that moment when I realized, okay, her sister might have been saying that out of frustration,
Yeah.
but it also created such a beautiful moment that now that whole thing has carried forward, because now, of course, they're like, Morgan, get your lazy butt out of your chair, or Morgan, do this. And, you know, the banter back and forth, you know, so we didn't have that for the first year.
Yeah.
You know,
Too much kid gloves.
You know, I look back at our carrying bridge, and, you know, there were things like, not necessarily kid gloves, but her inability to do it. So, like, I remember posting that we saw a faint smile on Morgan. Well, she was kind of learning how to, you know, she was trying so hard to get that smile out. And yes, we were kid gloving her to a point because she was so fragile.
Right.
That first year, she was just so fragile. And I was just afraid that anything could take her from us, you know. But the more we worked with her, and Morgan, this is how you smile, baby. You know, this is this and this is that. And I tell you what, that was, I look back and I'm just kind of astounded at how far she's come, you know. So if you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, and we're trying to post a lot more pictures on there, updating that. So yeah, we encourage you to join. Our sessions are, you know, 20 to 30 minutes long, but we also take shorts from each episode and we post them on our Instagram. So, you know, look us up over on Instagram. You can catch just highlight reels from our 30-minute, 20-minute sessions here. And
do we have TikTok yet?
No.
Okay, we will.
Eventually.
Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. We love hearing from you guys, so keep the comments and the questions coming for us.
Yes. Love the questions. Please subscribe. Go to www.givemorgan.org or visit me at my real estate website, realtorcraigbertrand.com. And we always want your questions, comments. Like and share wherever you listen or watch. Thank you. Thank you.